A good thing to do right away when you get to Japan is in your local area, figure out which pet hospitals or pet animal clinics are available. I've lived in Hokkaido, I've lived in Nagoya, I've lived in Chiba, and now I live in a smaller town in Chiba. And no matter where I go, I've found at least 3 or 4 pets clinics around me wherever I go. If they're all close by to you, I'd maybe take your pet to each one. Just get a general idea of what the place looks like, what the people are like. The doctors, the vets themselves actually have a little bit of English knowledge. So I think either vet you go to, they should have at least a little minimal English language. And if not, they will try to translate it for you and help you. Also, the reason I say go to different ones is you'll find that some vets are much more friendly than others. I don't know if it's because I'm a foreigner or just in general that vet is just the way it is. But I found that when I went to one vet, they treated me really nicely. They were so friendly. They tried to be nice to Maple and they thought he was so cute and they tried to take care of him. Well, the other one was much more like kind of like a very cold and not very friendly atmosphere. So I decided to stick with the first vet. But like I said, it's going to be trial and error. Just go around to different vets and the prices are pretty much going to be always the same. So it won't matter which vet you choose as long as you're comfortable and your pet is comfortable with that vet. So the reason I say is go to the vet early is because you want to have your dog registered. That's something you have to do. You have to register it to your town. So when I was in Hokkaido, I got my dog registered there. I got this little medallion saying that he's a registered pet and he has his rabies shots, just to confirm. And once you have that, that's you can keep that on this collar or you can keep it on you or whatever. And that's helpful for when you go to different places like tourist attractions or other places where I'll mention later, where it could be proof that your dog has been vaccinated and everything's good. Of course, you should also get your dogs vaccinated or their immunizations every year. Just make sure that's up to date. So that's why it's a good idea to keep going to the same vet. They'll have a record of your pet, and having your pet on record with them is also good because if you decide to stay at a pet hotel or something, they'll want to know which vet you go to so they can, and their number so they can contact in case of emergency. So it's very good to go to have a pet hospital or pet doctor set up right away from the beginning. Also, there's this medicine. I'm not sure if they use it in other countries or I'm not too familiar, but it's either pill form or little treat form, which they recommend for dogs and cats. So to help them avoid certain diseases like I think tapeworm and some other things. So I highly recommend getting that as well. So if you go to the vet, they'll have a record and they'll give you like a calendar of when to feed that specific medicine. So pretty nice. The only thing about vets is it is pretty expensive. Depending on the services they provide, it can get quite expensive. It's actually, I feel, more expensive than human healthcare. Just a regular checkup is probably about $30 to $50. If you get the immunization thing, it becomes about $70 to $80. If there's any kind of certain treatments, if they're sick, the dog is sick or the cat is sick and they need something specific, that's also expensive. When I got Kaide, my cat, spayed, it cost about 30,000 yen, about $300. So Maple had a couple of procedures done that were expensive. One of them was one of his teeth were kind of like broken and kind of jagged and kind of hurting the other one, and they needed to remove 2 teeth. So they removed both teeth, but to take teeth out of a dog, they have to be asleep, so they had to anesthetize him. So that whole process cost about 50,000 yen, so about $500. So that was expensive. And one time, Maple somehow got into antifungal cream medicine that I had gotten from a doctor. It was like a little tube thing, and I don't know how he found it, and then he ripped it open and ate it all. And then the next day, I didn't even know, and then the next day he started drooling and he couldn't walk properly, and he just kind of became, I guess, sad. He wouldn't eat, and he wouldn't even eat treats or anything. He just kind of like lied down and looked sleepy. So I rushed him to the hospital because I knew definitely if he doesn't like treats, something's wrong with him. They gave him some medicine, antibodies, and they actually had to put him on an IV, and all of that process cost about 40,000 yen, so about $400 as well. So I guess I should have gotten insurance, but I didn't think about that at that time. So one thing I do recommend is if your dog is young, then you should definitely, or cat is young, you should look into getting pet insurance. It will save you a lot of money in the long run. But I think now it's too late for Maple. He's like already 13, so I'm sure it's not worth it to get pet insurance for him. But yeah, if your dog is probably under 8, maybe, it might be a good idea to get some pet insurance. Like I said, most places sell pet food, whether it be convenience stores, supermarkets, or actual pet shops or department stores or whatever. You'll be able to find something. If there's a specific brand you need, you should definitely search for it. I'm pretty sure you'll be able to find it if you're looking for like North American brands like Pedigree or Science Diet or stuff like that. There's a lot of them in many pet shops, so I'm pretty sure you should be able to find the brand of food you're looking for at a pet shop or either on Amazon or at the home center or even Costco. If there is a really specific brand of product that your dog or cat can't live without, maybe research that, see if it's available in Japan. But I'm pretty sure you'll be able to find some kind of pet food that your dog or cat enjoys, so you should be fine. I tend to go with the American brand of Science Diet. That's the one I use. And for Kaide, she likes the Japanese brand because it has little pieces of fish in it and stuff, so she likes that. If you have a car, I would definitely recommend buying in bulk and driving in and bring it home, or ordering it off of Amazon or going to like Costco or something. But if your house is small and you don't have a car, you can definitely go to any supermarket and buy bags of up to, I think, 7 kilograms or 2 kilograms or 1 kilogram, whatever you want. You should be able to find food and also snacks and treats. So in terms of food stuff, your pet should be perfectly happy here in Japan. Like I said before, Japan has a lot of different services. But for training though, I think it's lacking. That's the only thing I think that Japan is not very good at. There's not many training centers or like pet schools or that kind of pet manor kind of places. When I was in Toronto, I was for the first 2 years I took Maple to the PetSmart like pet school, and it was really good training, not just for him but for me to figure out what I should and shouldn't do with him. Unfortunately, there's not a lot of that in Japan, so a lot of pet owners don't really know how to take care of their pets. They're very babied in Japan, so and they're not very socialized. There is one I found online. I think it's called Barkbusters, but I think it's only available in like Tokyo and Kanagawa. So if you're in that area, and they speak English and they have trainers in English, but there's probably some Japanese training sites as well, but unless you speak fluent Japanese, it'll be hard to understand what they're telling you or the dog to do. So unfortunately, if you're looking for training, you might have to do some like online, find it on YouTube, or like some how to train your pet online kind of services. But in terms of dog trimming and salons and hotels, they're everywhere, and they're also increasing. There's so many popping up everywhere. Actually, most pet shops have their own pet hotel and pet trimming center as well. Luckily, both of my pets don't really require any kind of trimming. Maple has short hair, but if your dog requires a lot of trimming, or like hair salon or shampooing or that kind of stuff, one good choice is Aeon malls. Aeon malls have a big pet area. There's actually one mall in Makuhari in Chiba, which is an actual pet mall. The entire mall is dedicated to pets, and they have like clothes and food and trimming and everything there, and it's not very expensive. It's pretty cheap. I usually just get my dog and cat's nails trimmed sometime, but it's not that expensive. It's pretty cheap. You can find a pet grooming center anywhere in your neighborhood. You should be able to find one. And with pet hotels, they can get quite expensive. The only thing I'm going to say is there's two options for pet hotels. You can either leave them, the pet hospitals also provide pet hotel service. So if you need to leave your cat or dog, you can leave them for a night or two at a pet hotel that's in the hospital, or there's private companies that have their own pet hotel services. I would recommend for a cat, I guess it doesn't really matter. The prices are cheaper at animal clinics. They usually charge about $2,000 or $3,000, so $20 to $30 per night for a cat, and about $30 to $40 for a dog per night. So if you do need to leave your pets away and you don't want to leave them at home, and you have going away on vacation yourself, or you have some business to do or something, you can leave them for a night or two at the pet clinic. The only thing I would say avoid for the dogs is, with cats it's fine because they stay in this kind of like crate kind of thing or cage kind of thing, but with dogs they also stay in the cage thing, but they don't walk the dogs. So they only let the dogs out, I believe, like once or twice a day in a little small kind of field in the back. So most pet clinics won't walk your dog, and since they're all busy doing pet clinic stuff, they don't have time to give your dog or cat attention. So your dog or cat will just be sitting there. I tried twice, I believe, taking Maple and Kaide to the pet clinics. Kaide was okay because she's already used to just sitting there. But with Maple, he was so sad and he was so like unattended that he would keep pushing his face into the cage until his nose started bleeding. So I noticed that the 2 times I brought him back, he had like a red nose and it was always bloody because he wanted to get out of the cage and he just wanted attention, and everyone was busy and no one paid him any attention. And also he was so frustrated because he couldn't run around or go on a walk. So that wasn't very good for him. So for dogs, I would recommend going to the private pet places. The private pet places, depending on the location, if you look at them, they'll go to their websites. You'll notice which ones are good, which ones aren't. The ones I go to are really good because they have an indoor dog center where the dogs can run around all day, and only at night when it's time to sleep do they put them in the crate kind of place, so they get a lot of exercise in the day. Also, a lot of the pet hotels walk your dog 1 or 2 times a day, and they feed your dog and give your dog treats and play with your dog, and they get much more attention and socialization with other pets or with other staff. So I highly recommend going to a pet hotel that's not in a clinic. Depending if you live in a city or a country or like a suburb, it'll depend where you walk your dog. If you live in the deep city of Tokyo, you can still walk your dog, but I would recommend, because it's so crowded in Tokyo and because there's so many people, I would recommend don't go during rush hour, like either really early in the morning, 5 or 6 a.m., or in the evening after 8 p.m. If you do that, then you'll have much more space and your dog will feel much more comfortable walking around. And also in Tokyo, you can probably find some small parks here and there. If you're near Yoyogi Park, that's probably the best place to go because not only is it a huge park where you can walk your dog, but they actually have dog runs, fenced-in dog parks, one for small dogs, one for big dogs. So you can let your dog just in the crate run around in the field, and you're good to go. If you're in the suburbs, of course, you have a lot more space. You can walk your dog pretty much any time of day. A lot of people will be walking their dogs right after school time, so around between 4 and 6. After school, the kids with their families will be walking their dogs, or if you go to the park, you'll see tons of dogs like roaming together, socializing. So you can walk your dog anytime pretty much. And if you live in the countryside, of course, same thing. You can't let your dog off leash anywhere in Japan except for off leash parks, so just be aware of that. Even if your dog is really well trained and follows you no matter what, you should definitely keep your dog on a leash until you're in a place where it's off leash. Okay. For picking up after your dog, you should definitely carry poop bags to pick up any poop. I've seen this not by everybody, but a lot of Japanese people, especially older Japanese people, when they're walking their dogs, they also carry around a water bottle, like a spray bottle. And anytime a dog pees anywhere, they like spray it with the water just to like wash it off. I used to see that much more before, but recently I don't see it as much. So I don't think it's as popular. But if you want to be the good gaijin and you want to like look like you're very like well-mannered, of course, carry your poop bags. And if your dog pees, spray the area with water. I don't do that only because Maple is a serial peer. He pees at least 100 times per walk. I would need like a 2-liter bottle just to spray every single spot. Like every 30 seconds or less, he pees on something. So try to walk your dog on sidewalks, in parks. And the only thing I would say is, like I mentioned before, dogs in Japan are not really well trained. They're really cute, they're really nice, but they're very like anti-dog. So like they're not very socialized with other dogs, especially the smaller dogs. They will yap, 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 and they'll try to bite your dog. And Maple's really friendly. He's nice, so he always likes to go up to all the dogs and sniff them. But in my experience in Japan, I've noticed that some owners will just quickly pick up their dog and run away because they're scared. Other dogs will like cross the street when they see another dog, whether it's a big dog or small dog, because they just don't want the dog interacting with another dog because they're scared. Other owners are really friendly and they'll let the dog come and sniff each other and play and stuff, and they're fine. My dog has been bitten 3 times, and all of them were by Shiba Inu. So I would say, from personal experience, be careful of Shiba Inus. They're very protective of their owner and they don't like other dogs. So if anytime Maple came up to them, even if he wasn't doing anything, he was just standing there, the dog kind of growled and just bit him. And all 3 times Maple had to get stitches, and luckily the owners knew it was their dog that was at fault, and Maple didn't do anything. He never bit back or he didn't do anything. He just kind of like sat there and bled. So they of course paid for the veterinary bill for his 3 times getting bit, each from a different dog. So I would say depending on your dog and how well you know your dog, they may or may not get along with the other dogs in Japan. If you go to the park around 4 to 6, you'll notice like a lot of dogs are grouped together. Maybe that's a good place to go because a lot of those dogs are already kind of getting socialized and those owners are all okay with having other dogs be with them. So maybe you can go in slowly and see how the reaction is. But it's up to you. A really good place to go is dog runs or dog parks. Unfortunately, there's not that many compared to other places. When I was in Canada, there was a dog park pretty much everywhere you went. But here, it's kind of outside of the city, outside of the suburb even. So you definitely need a car and there's no public transportation. So if you have a car, then that's great. You can take your dog on dog parks, off-leash parks. But other than that, you might have to just wait till you rent a car, or maybe somebody you know who also has a dog will invite you to go to a dog park. Just be aware for dog parks, a lot of them either require membership, or they require payment, or they require proof of vaccination. So always make sure you have like proof that you vaccinated, immunized, and rabies shots your dog, and you might have to pay a fee to get into the dog park as well. So I mentioned renting a car, and there's also a lot of pet-friendly places and pet-friendly hotels. There's Japanese hotel chains, Western hotel chains that offer pet-friendly rooms. But more than that, I recommend either Airbnb or ryokans or bed and breakfast kind of hotels. You could probably find that on Airbnb or just on Expedia or on booking.com or something like that. Just filter for pet friendly and you'll find a lot of like cottage looking places or like bed and breakfast looking places that allow pets at a pet charge. It's not even that expensive, and you can travel and stay in a hotel room with your pet. I've done that quite a few times. You can see some of my videos. I'll leave them in the information section if you want to see the type of hotels that allow pets. That's a good option when you're traveling with your pet. In terms of pet-friendly attractions, you can also do research. You can find some places, but some of the best places I've been to, for example, is a place called Izu. It's like a pet-friendly town. And not only did they have pet-friendly hotels, but they had pet-friendly amusement park, a pet-friendly ferry where you can take your dog on a boat, pet-friendly shopping malls, pet-friendly cafes and restaurants, and a lot of places I've been to like Tochigi and in different parts of Japan, they all had pet-friendly zones. In Izu, there was an amusement park, Granpuru Park, which allows your dog to go on a slide, to go on a go-kart with you. Also, when I went to Tochigi, I went to this amusement park that allowed my dog to go on a Ferris wheel with me, so we did that as well. So there's actually some fun places. There's amusement park, actually a full-fledged dog amusement park where you can bring your dog, and there's so many different attractions for your dog to do. Also, if you like hiking or riding a bike or nature, one of the best things I did was I went glamping. I went to near Mount Fuji, Kawaguchiko, and I rented this kind of trailer, camping trailer, and Maple and I celebrated his birthday there. We also rented an electric bicycle, and we went around the lake, and Maple ran around with me while I was on the bike, and he had a lot of fun. So there's a lot of outdoor activities. Recently, if you saw my video, I'll list it in the information section below as well. I went to a canoeing area where I could canoe with Mayu and Maple together. We were in a canoe together and we rode around the lake. So it was really fun, and there's a lot of options for outdoor pet-friendly things to do. Also, I took Maple to Ichinomiya and Tateyama, which is in Chiba near the edge along the beach. And there were some people surfing, and I also got Maple to surf on a surfboard, so that was kind of fun too. So there's a lot of things that your pet can do with you that's really fun. Of course, there's lots of restaurants that allow pets, but there's also specific cat and dog friendly places as well where you can bring your dog or cat and enjoy a meal with them. The most important thing is that you know your dog best. You know what kind of food they like, the kind of treats they like, the kind of things that like make them happy or the things that scare them, what makes them like feel comfortable and what makes them feel anxious. So based on the things you already know about your dog, you can probably plan around that to make sure your dog doesn't experience too much anxiety. The main thing you want to do is not throw too much change at your dog or cat. When I moved to Kisarazu, unfortunately, it was the same time that my parents were here, and I was kind of taking them around as well. And Maple and Kai, they didn't have enough time to adjust to the new apartment. So for the first 2 or 3 days, they were really messed up. Kaide just sat in a closet for the first 2 days and she wouldn't get out, and I had to feed her in the closet. Maple also howled a lot, which I never heard him do before, but he howled a lot for the first 2 days. What I would recommend is limit the change as much as possible, which means, of course, it's going to be impossible to recreate your entire home in a new place in Japan, and the process of coming from your country to Japan is going to be tough. But once you're in your apartment, maybe spend as much time as you can with your dog or cat. Give them similar treats, give them similar smells, like blanket or something they like, that really familiarizes them and kind of links back to their old life, and so kind of helps them adjust with their new life. So I think if you do that, especially with Maple, once I gave him the treats he loves, and I gave him his favorite blanket, and we played like a tug of war game with his favorite like rope, he started getting into the place, and he started enjoying, and within a week, I would say Kaide and Maple were fine. So I said that I basically think getting your dog to transition, or cat to transition into your new life with as much familiarity from your old life as possible would be a good idea. Just like you, they're going from one country to a completely different country, to a different environment and different culture and different climate. So just like you have to adjust, so do they. I would say for the first week, if possible, if hopefully you don't have to work as much, you can spend as long as you can with them. For example, with dogs, go on longer walks, and with cats and dogs, play with them as much as possible and pet them as much as possible in the beginning. And hopefully this advice that I give will help you. But like I said, each pet is different, each situation is different. You know your pet's best, and you know what they will and won't like. So just adjust according to that. Hopefully watching this video, it gives you a peek into what life in Japan is like with a pet. Once again, once you get accustomed to this life, you're gonna love your time here in Japan with your dog or cat. Hopefully I answered all your questions. If you have any more questions or want to know any more information, you can leave me some comments in the information section below. Also, I have a written version of everything I said in this video on my Medium page. Usually you have to be a paying member to be a Medium, but I will link the friend link, which means it's free to anybody. You don't have to be a member. So if you do want to go back either to this video or want the written form as reference, you can go to my Medium article there, and you can also have that as reference. Thanks for watching, and if you like this video, please give me a thumbs up and share. Also, if you have any requests for videos, please let me know in the comment section below. Thank you again, Gina, for this video topic, and I hope it helped you out. Take care and see you next time. Peace.